My family originally comes from Ireland, from the 1740s, and
a lot of drinkers in your family is what I'm finding out, right?
A lot of drinkers and killers. I'm like
the
only generation of my family that hadn't killed anybody.
You just legalized the mob over here. Is what it feels like.
You said yet.
Yeah. It's you never know.
Everybody, welcome back. It is a brand new episode of Bourbon Pursuit, the official podcast of Bourbon. I'm Kenny Coleman.
Ryan Cecil here.
And we're going to be talking to somebody that I've had the pleasure of getting to know a little bit. Me and him got to go down to Opelika, Alabama, and spend some time together. And that was really the first time we did get a chance to spend some time together. We were down there at the Bruzel Whiskey Festival, and we were sampling our goods next to each other on top of barrels. And then we also shared the stage together. I don't remember what the conversation was.
See our besties now?
Yeah, we were doing that. I got to hang out with his wife, Rebecca. Just really, really kind of cool, down-to-earth people. And it's been probably overdue on having him on the show.
Well, they were neighbors to us at Bourbon Festival.
Yes, and that too.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah,
when his granddad was there, right?
Yep.
And being able to kind of talk, and we'll talk about that a little bit and sort of that family history and what they've been able to do with between that and working with Jackie and Hidden Barn and all those other kind of things that they got going on. So there's a lot to touch on today.
Yeah, super excited. We've seen each other at different bourbon events, and we're all so damn busy, and unfortunately we haven't.
No, we're not that busy. Okay, we're kind of busy.
I don't know about you. I'm stressed all the time. But
if I wish people, if we had started doing our YouTube videos so long ago, they could see the progression of the gray in your beard.
Oh my gosh,
since when we started,
and the thinning of my hair. That's why I wear hats every single day. But no, I'm super excited to learn more about the Neely family and their line of products, and because we see each other passing, but I haven't really got to sit down and hang out, shoot the shit, learn his story, and excited to share it with our audience.
Yeah. So today on the show we have Royce Neely. He is the owner and master distiller at Neely Family Distillery. So Royce, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, glad to be on here.
Yeah, man. Well, before we get started, I like your watch. What are you sporting today?
I appreciate that. It's a Rolex Submariner. Actually.
Yeah. You a big watch guy?
A little bit, you know.
Did you find a passion for it?
A little bit of that, if when you can afford one, I guess. But
yeah.
Now you're really gonna be besties.
Yeah.
Kenny's all obsessed with watches.
Okay, cool.
I don't really wear them around here too often because the last thing I want to do is scratch the bezel or mess it up, and I'm not driving a forklift wearing a $5,000 watch. That's not what I want to do.
Very true.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's just something, and Ryan, I always tell Ryan, and maybe I shouldn't give away the surprise, but I sort of, if this whole bourbon thing ever works out and we make a lot of money, I was like, I'm going to buy you a really nice watch, because he refuses to kind of see this part of the world. And it's like, it's just like, there's the art and the craftsmanship and the lack of today's technology in it that makes it such an attractive thing.
I'll take a 1957 Breitling.
Okay, so you're into the vintage side, right? Yeah. How did you get into watches?
Kind of like you said. I mean, I guess if you really like old school whiskey and that kind of process, you kind of have to like at least the way like a Rolex or a Patek Philippe or something like that. A Patek is made. But
it was like you went from Rolex to Patek. That's like going from I would say maybe
Corvette to a Ferrari.
Yeah, easily much. Yeah.
But if I ever hit it real big and was able to get a real high end, that's the kind of watch I like to have, man. Like a Nautilus, badass timepiece. But actually, the first Rolex I bought was right after I probably had the distillery open 4 years, and when we finally got to where we were debt free, I bought just a stainless Submariner to wear around. And that was kind of like my gift to myself. First time I ever spent. I didn't even took a salary at the time yet, so that was my first one. It was like my
your
Christmas.
first paycheck.
Yeah, it's like my first paycheck to me. And then when Rebecca and I got married, and this was actually her idea, she's like, I don't want a wedding. I think they're like, for what it is, a waste of money. Let's and it was during COVID, so all that crap was going on. So I kind of pitched her the idea of let's just buy matching gold Rolexes, what we would have probably spent on a wedding anyways. We'll just elope to Las Vegas. That's what we did.
That's
so
a smart
That's
idea.
yeah. So the Rolexes went up in value. The wedding, would have,
been a distant memory.
that's right.
That's
Distant
true.
memory.
It's true. That's what people don't realize is that the whole watch world. I mean, COVID was definitely a big help, but that really amplified the craze of people going and buying. And you're in the Rolex side, and Rolex actually is one of the few brands that really holds its value over time. It's been surprising. I was when I bought my first watch. It was kind of like I said, it was a gift to myself. It was kind of like I got my first big boy job. I'm gonna go get myself a watch.
Right.
But I always said, I was like, I don't want a Rolex. Like everybody's got Rolexes. And now looking back, I was like, I probably should have gotten a Rolex because it actually would have held its value. Other than the other one right now, it's probably worth about a quarter of what it is.
Yeah, they really do. You can wear a Rolex around and really just beat the hell out of it, and they kind of maintain value no matter what, which is kind of cool. Actually, a lot of them go up in value depending on what they are over time.
That's you were smart getting into it. All right, so let's switch gears. Let's talk about whiskey a little bit. Kind of a little bit of the origin story, right? I mean, it's not like you had started this and figured it out. Like you kind of grown up around this a little bit, right?
Yeah, not so much on the bourbon side, and definitely not on the commercial side, but it was more was completely on the illegal side and with moonshining. I grew up in Sparta, Kentucky. Went to Owen County High School, but my father's from Owsley County. That's where the family's been at since the 1840s. So and he left the mountains in 1988 to start a construction company up here. So he still does all of our construction today. He's down there, like I was telling you guys earlier, he's working on a 3-chamber building for us right now. But for, every like family reunion or Christmas or get-togethers, we would go back to the mountains, and I would listen to my family members talk about, this is where this still site was at. This is where this killing took place. And it was fascinating. I kind of fell in love with it that way. And when I got to college, I was, there on campus and hanging out and talking to some of my baseball buddies. I played baseball at Transylvania University, and I kind of realized that not everybody has this kind of history, and not everybody's grandpa killed somebody. I thought that was a pretty normal thing. I thought it was a normal thing. So I realized then, I was like, all right, that's there's some really cool, unique history, because from the mountains, there's a lot of families that have the same history that I have. But I didn't realize that's such a small, really tight-knit community down there. And people, about that time is when the Moonshiners TV show was getting popular. Popcorn Sutton had just passed away. So, I mean, I credit a lot today. A lot of the craft distillery movement comes really from Popcorn Sutton. I mean, a lot of people got into distilling from what he was doing.
You mean just from illegal moonshine?
Yeah, that illegal. I mean, he's the one that really brought that illegal moonshine, that mystique to it back. Yeah. It was Popcorn Sutton, and I mean, even today, he's still like, if you watch the TV show, or I mean, you listen to anybody, he's like the godfather of moonshining. Which, on the craft distilling side, for most of us, that's how a lot of us got started. Was, starting a little still or something in their kitchen, or working on it that way, and then moving their way on up.
Yeah, there's definitely a romance novelty side of it that really, intrigues people about the moonshining process.
Definitely. So, my family, a little bit different than a lot of them, they kept like everything. So I have original stills for my family. It's over 120-year-old. I got the guns. I used to pack to their still sites with them. I have all these old articles from like the late 1800s that talk about these guys, shooting at federal marshals in Rockcastle County, and just really cool stuff like that. And there was some little things. The big thing that my family, which from the moonshining side, was running pot stills. And then not only running a pot still, a lot of guys on the that run illegally, they'll just run it through the still one time, use a thumper or something like that. My family always doubled it or tripled it through the still, and that's how we make our bourbons and our moonshines today. But
they have logs of that. Is that like journals?
Hey, buddy.
And just past stories. Yeah,
that's right.
It's kind of like killing a person, right?
It's kind of like killing a person. It's all up there. And, no logs or anything of it. And, we did have a family recipe, I guess, if you go to call it, but it was mainly just like my family liked to use Domino cane sugar and sweet corn. So we make our moonshine today that same way, but we do heavier Domino cane sugar than we do on the sweet corn side of it, put it through the still 3 times, and then cut it down to 120 proof, which is where my great grandpa and grandpa used to sell it at. So, I kind of got into it that way. And while I was in college, I don't tell this story a lot, but I had a guy that I knew from Owen County who was, I went to this frat party, and he was slinging all this apple pie moonshine, right? Gallons of it.
I know those types.
Yeah, gallons of it. $100 a gallon. And I'm like, and I know this guy has no background in it at all. And I know enough about moonshining to be dangerous. And I'm like, Bryce, where the hell you got your still set up at down here in Lexington? He's like, I ain't got no still. I'm just buying Everclear, flavoring it, and selling it to these idiots. It's the exact way he said it, And I'm like, so my mind, I start thinking, then I'm like, well, he's got to have $20, $30 in a bottle of that. We can definitely make it a lot cheaper. So I hit up two of my uncles. They helped me build a still. Me and my roommates set it up, started running it down there on UK's campus, and after we undercut Bryce and got him out of business, and we kind of upped the prices. And
sounds like a drug dealer.
yeah,
maybe.
something like that. It was funny. I'd be watching the Moonshiners TV show, and they'd show like the guys running the stills, and they'd show the police coming after him. I'm always sitting here thinking like, I'm waiting to see a camera like pop out outside of our,
the flashlight
the house
shining
over
in.
there. I'm like, here we go, and we're gonna bust these idiots.
Here comes the cherries and berries.
Here
right?
it comes.
Yeah.
So so it took off from there. My parents found out about it. They weren't very thrilled. That wasn't the plan for me going to college, was to be bootlegging illegally on campus.
What were you supposed to be going to college for?
I was either going to be an attorney or a physical therapist. I know those are two very polar opposite things. It started off as I got to college and they're like, well, you guys know this.
Yeah. What do you want to do?
What do you want to do? And it's like, I don't know. They're like, well, what do you like? We're going to play baseball. So they're like, well, I want you to be a physical therapist. Sure.
Here to party.
Yeah, that panned out for about a year. And I was like, I don't know about this one. But then I started thinking about an attorney. But like I said, I started moonshining around my sophomore year, and I just completely fell in love with it then. The whole aspect. And even to this day, I love to be in the distillery. We were talking about traveling, and it's part of it, and I have to do it to get out there on the road to sell whiskey, but I'd love to come back and just be in the still house. That's where I really enjoy being at. So after I graduated from college, I wrote the plan up for what would become Neely Family Distillery. I took it to my father and kind of pitched him the idea on what I was thinking, which was I wanted it to be family owned. I wanted no investors, no banks, nobody else involved in it if we could do it. I wanted to bootstrap it. And, I wanted to base it around this, really small pot distillation, old school methods of making whiskey. And he come back to me the next day and said, I'm in if you are. I'll build it. I'll finance it. But you tell your mom you're not going to grad school.
Oh, okay.
All right.
There's
How'd she take that?
Deal with the devil.
She
You got to
didn't take it too well. She, like I said, she had begged me when I was in college, please stop. I don't want you to go to jail. And like I said, the still was sitting at their house at the time. And it's actually my illegal still was the one we registered to get our DSP number, because I didn't have
Perfect.
Yeah, it's got a handwritten serial number on the bottom of it.
I was about to say, I was like,
permanent marker.
You carve in the serial number
Literally,
into it?
yeah, it's sitting there in the gift shop. But
00001.
yeah, she's all in now, so she runs our cocktail program, helps purchase stuff for the gift shop. Like you said, you had met my wife, Rebecca. She's our single barrel coordinator, doing a lot of our batching on the Neely side with our stuff. I do the distillation. We've got a really good crew around us. Dad does all the construction, helps me with finances and accounting and that kind of stuff. And then you guys, you both met my grandfather, right?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
He was in there
Very
with us.
shortly, but
We lost him, unfortunately, last year, but he was in there with me for 7 years straight, every single day distilling. So
That's
it's a
awesome.
real family affair.
I was going to say, did you learn a lot from your granddad as a part of doing that? I mean, where did you find the passion for actually wanting to figure out how to distill? And I guess it goes back to the time at UK, or is it Transy? What was it?
Well, I went
Transy.
to Transy, but I lived on UK's campus.
Yeah. And so it's basically almost the same.
It is.
For anybody
So,
that doesn't know, were you outsourcing the distillation to somebody, or were you distilling somewhere right there in Lexington?
Yeah, I distilled right there in Lexington.
Oh, okay.
My house was on Columbia Avenue. I could pick. I've got
Oh
photos.
shit, that's like next to all the sorority houses.
Yeah.
Right there.
Oh, I was right on Sorority Row, man. It was a good time. So that's why we chose that location to live at. You can imagine when you're slinging moonshine on the front porch and all the sorority girls are walking back and forth.
Right,
to the
I got a
bars.
real nice peach one for you.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad spot to be at. So we had a really good time. We had a really good time in college, and when I got out, we just kind of took off from there.
What years were you actually there in Lexington?
So I was there from 2009 to 13.
Okay, all right.
And then I stayed there an extra year while I was prepping I ended up going to grad school after I got the distillery open. I have an MBA from Midway. They have that distillery operations and bourbon tourism program. It was cool. It was great.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
At that point, you were probably teaching the class.
Yeah. I made some really good connections in it, I'll tell you that. So my professor, you guys familiar with Tim Niddle with Distilled Living?
Oh, yeah.
Good guy. Yeah, he was my professor in there. So
No, yeah, he's great.
he is. Yeah, it was cool. So made some good connections with that.
Okay, so you were doing the distillation, you're figuring it all out, and you had the business plan to put it together, and it's amazing that your dad was super nice enough to just finance it and say let's build this. Did you have a runway to say, I know like we'll be, because you mentioned already, like it's a lot of its own debt free right now. Like how long did you plan on something like that where you can say like, hey, if we can do this, we make this much whiskey, we can sell this much. Like how did that business plan come together?
Yeah. So when I first sat down and drew it up, and gives it back to what you'd asked me before, like, so how did I learn to distill, or what really got me into that, not outsourcing it? I had, like I said, kind of picked the brains of my uncles. Just my great uncle Charlie Neely was known as making some of the best moonshine down in Owsley County. And like I said, his big thing was running through the still 3 times. He only distilled in the winter, which is funny. You hear people today, a lot of the old school guys say we make the best whiskey in the winter. He only distilled in the wintertime, which is how he got popped twice.
All right.
He was a felon twice for it.
Explain why. Why is the best whiskey made in the winter?
I think that the best whiskey is made in the winter. Not only can you keep the condenser cooler, right, because you have access to colder cooling water, but the main thing is that the yeast works better. So even being able to cool and keep the actual fermenter itself, like today we can run cool and cools through it and keep it around 85. The ambient temperature is still hot around it. And that's still touching, especially in open top fermenters. All that grain is touching that and moving around. So to me, having a cooler ambient temperature makes a better environment for the yeast as well. And the more you can take care of your yeast, the better fermentations you have, the better product you can produce off the still.
All right, that's the checkbox I was looking
But
for.
in the winter, you don't have any tree cover if you're a moonshine.
That's true. No, that's right. So Charlie was in, you guys familiar with the tobacco farm operations, a stripping room where you strip the tobacco?
Yeah.
All right, so he was in the stripping room when he got hit by the feds.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Yep, pulled 2 years.
That's a bad day because stripping tobacco is like the worst freaking job in history. And so if you're going through a day of that and you're like, well, at the end of the day, you're going to jail.
Yeah. My family was pretty connected in Owsley County, and which goes hand in hand with, if you're going to run any legal distilling operation down there and be successful, you better have family members that are the county judge and the police and, connections. They told Charlie they were going to take him somewhere where the connections didn't matter. So they took him to Tennessee and prosecuted him federally.
Ouch.
Yep.
Man alive. Well, yeah. Ooh, yikes.
That's what happens when you mess with the feds.
I guess so. All right. So that's your warning out there for me. That's
when you all started, did you like, obviously bourbon or whiskey but did you, to get cash in the door first, what were your first few products?
They were all moonshines.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So early on, and that kind of really helped me as I hit the ground running. I already had the family recipe, or the recipe we were going to use for the clear moonshine already knocked down and locked in that I'd done illegally. And I already had an apple pie and a lemon drop and a peach cobbler and some of those flavors that I knew exactly this is how we want to make this. I hired a consultant.
And you had a proof of concept, with the sorority girls.
Yeah. And all that. It's funny. We still get people that come into the distillery today and are like, I used to buy it illegally. Like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's great.
I had to make that switch at some point.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad I didn't go to jail for it. But
is there a statute of limitations, by the way?
I hope so.
Okay.
I really hope so. I've talked about it a lot over the last 8 years. And
yeah,
I've never had any problems with the TTB. Hey, we pay all of our taxes today. That I can guarantee.
There you go.
Yeah. So we hit the ground running with the moonshine. And then at first, when I first opened the distillery, I thought, and we're located right beside the NASCAR track. So I'd done the numbers and I was like, all right, if we can just sell to 5% of the people that come to that NASCAR race, that's a lot of revenue for what, we just like to be able to take in there. You all know this. We make so much more money out of the gift shop anyways. What I actually missed on was Belterra Casino. So I didn't realize how many daggone people travel from all over the country to go to that casino, from Florida and Texas, Michigan. They drive all the way down, all the time, and go right to that casino. So you build a clientele that way, and they stop in every time, and they'll buy cases and cases of product to take back with them, and then they restock. So I missed on that one. Luckily, it was a good miss. And then we joined the Bourbon Trail as soon as we could, and I think we got on it in 2018. And that obviously really opened it up. We got the brown signs on the interstate, and that really helped draw a lot and really help people get to us easier. But
yeah, because now the Speedway is pretty much a desert town, right?
Yeah. Well, now it's Amazon drivers and Ford drivers, and you'd be surprised how many of them will swing by as well and pick bottles up as they're transporting,
because they're parking. Yeah, they use it as a parking lot.
That's
for
right.
all the new vehicles.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you guys, it's something I've never actually been asked that, but I had about $25,000 in the bank account when I opened her up. That's what I had left over after construction and everything else. And I wasn't pulling any more money from mom and dad. I'd pretty much gambled on mom and dad's retirement, and you talk about stress. I had a lot of stress on me at that time.
Yeah.
And we hit the ground with the moonshine. I had a couple really good contract clients. I was really fortunate early on to have bottling clients and distilling clients both. And they wanted some pot still stuff made. So we were able to cash flow everything off of that, do no distribution at all, and just kind of start building inventory. So for bourbon, had a good plan of how I wanted to make moonshine. For bourbon, it was something I completely learned on my own. So I started reading books, like some of the great books wrote by ADI owner, his name slipped me, Owens.
Eric Owens.
Well, it was his dad.
Oh, Mr. Owens.
Mr. Owens.
Let's start
Owens.
there.
He wrote some really, really good distilling books early on. I still have all of these, but started doing research on that. Like, this is how, mainly, a lot of them were wrote on Scotch. There really wasn't a whole lot on bourbon 2014 or 15 on the production side of it. So I read a lot of stuff on that, how they use their lauter tons. I decided I wanted to distill on the grain, and then you guys know this. It's a great little industry to be in as long as you're not an asshole. I mean,
Yeah.
as long as you're good to people, people are normally good back to you. I just started picking the brains of other distillers. I was able to get in early with Dick Stoll and talk with Dick from the original master distiller at the old Michter's.
Yeah.
And then Ed, I got to lucky opportunity to talk to Ed Foote a few times, and I'm just
Stitzel-Weller.
just picking their brains. I thought Stitzel-Weller is some of the best bourbon I've ever had in my entire life. That's actually how I settled on the 70-20-10 mash bill for most of our products. Met with Kilburn right after he got started, and I tasted some of his stuff that was coming off the still early on, and I love that idea of the sweet mash process, especially because in order to sour mash, you must sweet mash. So if you want to make whiskey the way it was made when bourbon was invented, like all the way, talking late 1700s, early 1800s, you have to sweet mash first. So that made a lot of sense to me, besides creating a pretty good environment for the yeast. And then I was always fascinated with yeast. So I knew that in order for me to make my whiskey taste the way that my grandpa's tasted down in the mountains, I had to go get his microflora, his natural yeast that they were using, because my grandpa didn't add yeast to his shine. If you asked him, he would tell you yeast gives you a hangover. All right. What he was talking about with that is like bread yeast, Fleischmann's, that they were, people adding that in gives you a hangover. He didn't realize that it was still yeast. It was wild, natural yeast in the air that was moving in and working his mash. And so I would go down there. I still do it. I go down once a year, catch the wild yeast. I bring it up, and we isolate it out in a Petri dish, put it in a test tube, and then replicate it and grow it over the course of 4 days. And then we run and work off of that throughout the year to make our whiskey with.
What do? You just like run up there with like an open mason jar and just like swing it around and put a lid on it real quick? What do you do?
I take a stainless steel, it's actually a stainless steel old milk cans. And they have the little handles and stuff on them. Throw a chain over that.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep. I take a mash that I leave it above 160 degrees when I pull it out of the cooker, so I don't cool it all the way down. It's got a really high rye content. Why? Because Dick Stoll told me that's the way you need to do it.
Okay.
Really. And I add a little bit of hops in it as well for the type of antimicrobial properties that come with it. And I take that down there, let it cool down on its own in the tree. And then I take a little cheesecloth, put over top of it, and I hang it up over some blackberry bushes at the old family still site. I do this in the early spring. I come back. I'm actually getting ready to go do it in 2 weeks. I come back in about 3 or 4 days, and it's working like hell.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep. It's cool. It was when I first done it. And I tell you, I got the idea from, you guys familiar with Glens Creek Distillery?
Yeah. In Frankfurt area.
Yeah. The OCD number 5. Right when they were first getting open, I got, they had a distiller there named David Adams. And I got to go kind of moonlight and hang out with him and see what they were doing. And he was catching that yeast out of that OCD number 5 fermenter. And I watched him do it. And I was like, man, this would be really cool for us to do as well. So that's kind of where I got the idea from it. I had no idea it was going to work the way it has, but, and the key to...
Are you using that yeast for your moonshine as well? Is that what the big idea? Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. That's very cool. Because most people is just like, oh, we'll call Firm Solutions.
That's
and
it.
get
Yeah.
yeah.
And not that we still don't use, for instance, Dick Stoll liked Red Star. So when he originally learned how to work yeast, he was distilling with Charles Everett Beam. So Beam would go down once a year, get Beam yeast to bring it back up, and Michter's would work off that year round. And the difficulty with yeast, for me, has never been catching it. It's been keeping it from mutating, right? Because yeast will change like that. So Stoll really helped me on a lot of quality control methods that I use every single day to make sure that we don't compromise that yeast. But when Charles Everett Beam passed away, the Beams wouldn't let him keep getting the Beam yeast. So he moved over to Red Star, which is kind of cool because we can still get Red Star and utilize it as well. So we use that in some of our products also. So not only Neely yeast, but predominantly Neely yeast.
Yeah, very interesting.
So like when you're...
Before we do that, I want to pop a bottle here and try
sure.
something real quick. Let's do. Let's open up something. Let's open up this Neely. What do you got for us?
Yeah, let's open up this one here. So this is my wife Rebecca's first small batch that she ever done. She wanted me to bring this up here, Kenny, for you to try. So if you bash it here on the podcast, just so you know,
you're
like,
deep
gonna
shit.
come get you.
She's gonna unfriend me on Facebook.
She's gonna unfriend you.
Yeah, I know. Awesome. I love the label on here too.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a lot of gold foil going
A
on.
lot of gold foil going on. This one is going to be 63% corn, 17% oatmeal, 8% wheat, and 12% malted barley.
Oh,
and it is converted naturally. No enzymes in this one.
Interesting.
So did she just see you having too much fun in the still room and said like, well, I want to get on some of that?
She's always, when I met Rebecca early on, before we ever got together, she always thought she had a great palate. So it's kind of cool now. I mean, she's been selecting single barrels for me for 4 or 5 years. I think she's doing really, I mean, I really like this first batch she put out. It's bonded.
Maybe it's just because you said oatmeal, but I'm in my head, I'm smelling like I'm opening up a fresh pack of Little Debbie's oatmeal cream pies. There's some like creaminess to it on the nose, but that oatmeal, like in those baking spices that you put in oatmeal cookies and whatnot.
This is, I think this mash bill is fantastic, kind of built for a pot still because that oatmeal provides a lot of that creaminess.
That's what I was going to ask for, Kenny. So I was like, how, because all those people you're learning from, they're probably using a column still setup and whatnot. How did you say like, all right, well, I'm gonna be a pot still. How am I gonna tweak my?
Yeah, Stowe run on both. So he ran on both a pot still. They had the 2 small pot stills. I think they still have them down here at the Michter's here in town that he used to run off of in the old Michter's.
Yeah, I remember they put an original Michter still in downtown. I can't remember
that's
that.
nice.
I just combined it. Ryan. So what they were doing with the column still, I would take what they were doing there and then move it over and utilize it on the pot still and then try to experiment with it that way. Because I mainly picked their brains more on fermentations, cooking, those type of methods there, working yeast, how to get the flavors out, and then what they do in maturation. I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I knew exactly what I wanted to do running the still. Like I knew where I wanted to make cuts at. I knew for my moonshine, for instance, I like to cut it really clean at around 100, 110 proof. I want to run the bourbons that are going to age 5, 6, 7 years more into the tails to bring some more of that oil and body over, the stuff you want to get from the pot still. So I knew what I wanted to do on the distillation side. I was more picking the brains on everything else. And then how the hell to run a distillery also.
Yeah.
How do you set it up? Like, for instance, I've kind of picked something from Kilburn. Even today, there's nothing hard piped in the distillery. We steam every line and pump every day when we pump over from the cooker into those fermenters. That way we can make sure we kill all the any of the bad bacteria and stuff off in it. And then we do stage cooks. Most people flash cook, put all the grains in at one time, cook them at one temperature, lower it down, bang it with enzymes, then pump it over. We'll cook the corn at 190, hold it for 45 minutes, lower it down. Like for this mash bill here, we'd enter the wheat and the oatmeal at 160, hold it for 45 minutes, cool down to 140, add in the malted barley, hold it for an hour, and then cool it down to 85 and pump it over and pitch the yeast to it.
Did you write all that down?
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Because I lost track.
We're gonna copy it.
I think, it's
we recorded it.
Yeah,
so
it's recorded. Yeah,
these are all old methods that you can go find. I mean, it's not you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. You
what I like though,
you just have to do things the right way.
Because most pot still bourbons, I'm very vocal about it. I don't enjoy because it has like those heavy congeners, heavy oils, like kind of twangy. This is really nice and refined. It has some really nice creaminess to it. Has some nice cacao, but it also has like these nice fruity, spicy esters that I'm really enjoying. It's not just like crafty, grainy. There's a hint of you're tasting the flavoring grains, but it's not like that big craft twang that I'm used to with pot still bourbons.
That was the big thing early on that I was worried about. Of course, you start off with a product, especially for me, like, I didn't really, I had an idea, I had a plan of what mash bills and stuff we wanted to run. I had no idea how it was going to turn out. I had no idea if I was investing all this money in something in 4 years it was going to be absolutely horrible. Because once again, you don't know. I kind of worried. I definitely worried about that a lot early on. But I knew that I was taking a risk when I was going to run a pot still and sweet mash at the same time, because I knew that was going to bring over heavy grain notes, especially at a younger age. Now, I knew with the pot still I could make it mellow. I knew we could cut it, remove a lot of the impurities, make it, as most people say, smooth,
Right.
And I knew low barrel entry proof would help it as well. But even today, we'll try this 7-year-old product over here. You're still going to taste some of the grainy notes that come through, but it still tastes matured at the same time. So when somebody says, "Oh man, I can taste the grain," but it doesn't taste young, that's like the best thing you can say to me.
Yeah, you're like,
thank God,
mission accomplished.
Thank God. Yeah.
I also want to talk about this moonshine stuff a little bit because it's the big 900-pound gorilla or elephant, what do you want to call them? Is Old Smoky, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to like not see that they have a huge stronghold on there, and maybe it's because it's Tennessee. How have you seen just the moonshine business in Kentucky in regards to like what you sell, how it compares to some of your sales on the bourbon side?
We
knowing that it's like, you make it today, you could sell it tomorrow. Like
Yeah.
great from a business perspective, but
It is.
like from like where do you kind of see the future of it, and what do you found in sales?
Once again, I think as long as you make a good moonshine, I don't think it's ever going to go away. We still don't distribute our moonshines. We still only sell them out of the gift shop, and the reason why is because of that that dominant footprint that Old Smoky had. They sell theirs, whatever you want to say about it. It doesn't matter. Don't matter to me, but they sell it at 40 proof, and they sell it for $18-19 a bottle, and we're never going to be able to compete with that. And not making our own stuff, there's no way. Without going out and sourcing GNS or something and cutting it down and doing that and I never wanted to do that. It just wasn't cool. I just don't I'm just not going to do that I'm not going to take my family name and be like my buddy Bryce in college and just
take Everclear and
sell it to these idiots, essentially. So as of right now, we're still selling. I'm going to say we're roughly about 70-30 bourbon in our gift shop to moonshine.
Oh, wow. Okay. So bourbon's definitely overtaken.
Oh, it's definitely overtaken it. Yeah. And
that's awesome.
We started selling some bourbon there in the gift shop at 2 years old. And we did a mint julep tour, and I was doing the thieving thing for them. People were like, "Oh, I'd love to buy this." I'm like, I was going to hold till at least 4 years before I ever sold any of our bourbon. But we started letting people do the bottle your own. And that was a really cool thing that I liked early. And we called it a taste of what to come. And this held that really until we put out Hidden Barn. That was our first jump into distribution and to selling what I would call a matured bourbon.
That's a good segue. So how did the whole Hidden Barn concept come about?
Yeah, so you guys are familiar with Nate Weiniger, 5280 Whiskey Society.
Great guy.
So Nate and his partner at 5280 had approached me. They flew me out back in like 2018 after the New Orleans Bourbon Festival. We met down there, and they liked the product, liked the story, liked the way I was making things, and he kept in contact with me since 18. And we're talking like, this was right at early 21. So right after we got, kind of through COVID, he's like, "Hey, we want to put out a brand." I'm like, "All right." And he's like, "We want to partner with you on the distillate side." I said, "Okay." And so we started, okay,
yeah,
all right. So and the goal with it was at the time, he had so many connections to other, daggone it, I can't think. He had so many other connections to other whiskey clubs throughout the country that it made sense to sell single barrels to them. So like, all right, this would be a good segue for me to move into distribution that way with a brand with them, let them do the legwork on that side of it. I'll supply the whiskey, and then while we're doing that, I'm learning about distribution, I can start putting some of my own brands out. That was always the goal, was to get to, we have another brand called Old Jet Brothers and, the Neely brand, and just to kind of start pushing them out alongside of Hidden Barn. And then I got a phone call. It was a great phone call where he's like, "Hey, I think we have the opportunity to bring Jackie Zykan on board." And I'm like,
how'd this happen? Yeah.
How? And Nate and Jackie had become friends. She went out there and done a couple of events for Old Foe. And I know, Nate was really cool. And there's a story like some guy was being an asshole, and I think Nate shut him down. He's a pretty big dude, so I think he intimidated. Yeah, he intimidated this guy, and
he's a big teddy bear.
He is a big teddy bear, great guy.
Yeah.
By the way, really good shoe game as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And flat bill hats.
He does. Got a hell of a garage to drink in. I really love going to work the market in Colorado, right? Because I get to stay with
hang out.
Yeah, I get to stay with Nate. His wife Claudia is fantastic. It's donuts every morning, coffee when I wake up, like nice towels when I get in.
He's probably listening to this and he's like, "I should probably Airbnb my house."
I'm telling you, man, the house, like, he's got a hell of a spot. Nate does. But anyway, so he brings Jackie down. Her and I try a bunch of whiskey. We talk a little bit. We actually go out to my house, shoot some clay pigeons. Jackie's a good shot for anybody that don't know, so don't mess with
Interesting.
her. Yeah, she is. She's a really good shot with a shotgun.
So you can't run away fast enough.
Can't run away from Jackie. Can't run away from Jackie Z. And we kind of talked a little bit then, and that's when she let us know that she was getting ready to make the move away from Old Forester, wanted to do her own thing. And that's when we hit the ground running with Hidden Barn. And the name comes from.
The buzz was around.
It's
crazy.
The buzz was great. And by the way, the branding is amazing. Like, there's a lot of cool things that came from it. But yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
We put a lot of work in it. The branding was a lot of it was Jackie. She wanted, and that if you know Jackie, like, that looks, it's clean. It's like, it's not old school looking, it's more modern, and that's the kind of take that Jackie, you know what I mean, the kind of take she has, and it's different than what she was doing at Old Foe. But on the other side of it, with Hidden Barn, you guys are familiar. I mean, I know you guys are, but for any of the listeners out there, so we have a microflora, black sugar mold that grows on all of our rick houses. Right?
Yep.
Told you my Uncle Charlie got busted running indoors.
Bedonia, Campagnosus, or whatever, something like that. Yeah.
Everybody's pissed about it being on their houses because they build next to Buffalo Trace. It's like, what do you think's going to happen?
Exactly.
Whatever.
Just go pressure wash it once a year.
Pressure wash it and move on. But anyways, So, and this goes all the way back to not only Eastern Kentucky, but my family originally comes from Ireland from the 1740s, and
A lot of drinkers in your family is what I'm finding out, right?
a lot of drinkers and killers. I'm like the
Yeah, okay, there you go.
only generation of my family that hadn't killed anybody.
It's
yet.
like you just legalized the mob over here. Is what it feels like.
You said yet.
Yeah, it's you never know. But anyways, so all the way back in Ireland, when these guys would distill indoors, the revenuers then knew that if they saw that black mold growing on a barn or a building, there was an illegal still inside. They go bust it up. Well, then the locals were pissed because they couldn't get the whiskey that they wanted. So everybody just started painting their buildings and barns black. This transpired into Eastern Kentucky, where we did the same thing there. And now if you drive through Kentucky, you see black barns everywhere. That is off of that paying homage to that old method of painting all the barns black so you wouldn't know if there's a still inside or not. We call those hidden barns down in the mountains. So that's where we got the name, the hidden barn. I'm on the illegal side, Jackie's on the legal, and we're working together just like those guys were. That's where the whole name comes from.
I love it. Let's pop it open real quick too. I want to try it. But I mean, it's amazing, like how, like, because you're right. She has a name and a presence, and when she left Old Forester, that made headlines. Like it was trying to figure out exactly, and she was really teasing it out for quite some time. And so I'm excited to be able to see you all continue to partner with this. What other things that you all are working on at the distillery, of like whether they're big things? And I guess the one thing that probably lead into here is talking about your 3-chamber still. So I know this was kind of really brought on by Leopold.
It was.
And so he really brought this back, and I'm assuming Vendome was the construction side of this side. What made you say, hey, I want to get into this 3-chamber game as well?
Yeah, so I went out and saw Todd when I told you guys I went to see Nate back in 2018. When I went out there, before I went out to the 5280 event, I actually went out to Leopold Brothers to look at that 3-chamber still. Just thought it was really cool.
And by the way, you probably know more of the history about it, and maybe our listeners are like, what the hell is a 3-chamber still? Give it the small elevator pitch of what it actually is or why it's important.
So if you love the pot still, you have to love the 3-chamber. That's my best way of describing it. The 3-chamber is three to 4 times less efficient than a pot still, which is why it fell out of fashion. But it can make a product that's more viscous, heavy, oily, full flavored than anything that a pot still can make, and definitely more than anything that a column still can make. And the reason why is when you run a 3-chamber, it's like having 3 pot stills stacked on top of each other. So let's say we're going to run a new mash today, like it'd be a new mash going into it. You would fill all chambers up with the mash, inject steam in the bottom, and distill it, and it runs on a batch style, just like a pot still. So you're going to make a cut off the heads, keep your hearts, make a cut on the tails. We do all that through taste. So then you're going to pump chamber 3 out, drop 2 into 3, 1 into 2, and what you had in your preheater up top into 1, and you're ready to distill again immediately. So after you've done that 3 times in a row, that one that started in 1, that's now down in 3, has been distilled 3 times.
So it's
it's not consecutively. It's been, so you pulled every bit of oil, alcohol, everything you possibly get off of that has been distilled out of that mash before it's pumped outside. And then you can run that. It's a semi-continuous process. So if you have enough mash in a distiller there, you can continue to run that all the time, just dropping chambers, running it, dropping chambers and running it. A normal distillation for me on a pot still takes about 6-7 hours. This one, you're going to do 8 separate distillations in 6 or 7 hours.
Wow.
So it's incredibly labor intensive. You have to have a distiller with it the entire time. It's not like we can cut the heads, let it run for 3 hours and start checking it again type deal.
You got to really babysit.
You got to really babysit it. So for ours, we actually built an office onto the side of it to where, me or one of my distillers can sit there, literally looking right at it. I'm going to put a TV in there so I can watch Netflix or something.
That's a smart idea. Yeah. It's like NCAA tournament's
right.
going to come on. You can't just
sit there and watch it run. So I started thinking about it then. We just weren't in the financial spot to be able to make a purchase like that. And we were, we're talking 2018. I was just getting a bourbon on the shelf at the distillery, and really putting barrels and stuff back. Once we got out of debt, which occurred right after 2021.
You decided, let's get back into more debt.
We bought that 3-chamber still outright.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
Nice. Way to go. That's amazing.
Which was cool. Vendome's been great to work with. It's been a incredible process for me because this is the 3rd one that they've built, at least that the Shermans have built in the current Shermans in their lifetime.
Well, that's good because the first 2 they probably messed up. So this one they got it right.
They got dialed in.
I think Todd did a great job on researching it, and Todd's been fantastic for helping people out with it, for answering inquiries and questions about it. So Todd's first design changed definitely a little bit when they built the one that went to Iron City. Iron City's been awesome to me as well. They invited me up as soon as we made the announcement we were going to put one in. I went up there, run the still with their distiller, Matt Strickland, for an entire day. It was a fantastic opportunity. But I learned the changes he made off of Todd's. I was able to then incorporate on mine and then make changes on stuff that he had. For instance, he's like, I wish the drop lines. He's like, it takes me 20 minutes to drop chambers. Make your drop lines 3 times the size and you can drop 3 times faster, and that's going to cut time down for the distiller. I'm like, all right, that makes a lot of sense. Just little stuff like that. There's still, to drop the chambers, you have to manually climb a ladder and open the valves.
I figured there's got to be something. It's like, like a trap door. You just got to pull a lever.
You need those on remotes.
I'm like Rob. I talked to Rob Sherman, like, Rob, I need pneumatic valves on there.
There you go. Yeah.
We'll build a control panel. Yeah. Hit a button and, manually drop them. So just stuff like that. I think it's going to be is really cool. But what I'm most looking forward to about the 3-chamber, we know it made great whiskey. I've been able to try some through Brad Bonds at Revival. I've been able to try some old 3-chamber whiskey.
Oh yeah, have you really?
Yeah, which is they ran one up until the 60s in Pennsylvania, but there hasn't been one in Kentucky since the 1880s.
Yeah, and so when you tried it, was it
real heavy?
Really?
Yeah, it's real heavy. I mean, even down at 80 proof but whatever proof it was at that time, it's 120, 110-year-old bottle or something. But yeah, really, really cool to be able to try it. So
what was the fascination that made you want to do it though?
I wanted to create something that nobody else, like I said, something that nobody else could make right now in Kentucky. And I wanted to be the guy that brought the 3-chamber back to Kentucky. I mean, I thought that was an incredible opportunity to be able to do. Like I said, I love the pot still. So if you're going to be a pot still guy, I thought we should be the ones to be able to bring that 3-chamber back in also. But what I'm most looking forward to with it is there's not a lot about how to run one of these. Right. And
it's like going back to moonshining.
That's
you got
right.
to figure it all out.
From what Todd's doing to what Matt's doing. And Matt has done a lot of research on how they run one in Pennsylvania. I've been working and trying to do as much research as I can to learn how they run one in Kentucky. But I'm really excited. I just come back from Barbados because the oldest 3-chamber in the world is in Barbados.
Oh, so that's a hell of a write-off. I was wondering why I saw you.
I went there.
You looked like a lobster at one time. You had some sunburns going on.
It was awesome, man. They invited me to come down as well, check it out. So I took that opportunity to go down there. That still was built in like 1910 in Cincinnati, which is neat. 30 minutes away from me. By Vulcan Industries in Cincinnati is who built that still. It's been in Barbados.
What rum distillery is it?
It's Stades, West Indies rum distillery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And so I got to try theirs. I learned what they do with theirs, with their still and how they run it. Because what you can do with that, you can not only put different things in the thumper, right? You can put different things back in the chambers as well.
What do you mean by things?
Things. So like you can take heads and tails. For instance, a traditional way of running it, I don't want to give away too much stuff of what I learned. All right. One of the old ways of running it in Pennsylvania is taking the heads and tails and putting them in the thumper. And then taking what's in the thumper and putting them in chamber 2 and circulating them back that way. And it concentrates oils and volatility and different compounds and congeners that way.
And there's no waste, right?
You're
continually using
What I'm looking forward to is everybody's always run it with mash in it. I'm looking forward to trying different things, like maybe taking low wines that are already stripped on a pot and putting them inside of it and running that through and using it as a finishing type of still. I'm looking forward to making, as far as I know, nobody's done a single malt on it. So now that we have that standard of the standard of identity from the TTB, I'm going to make a single malt on it as well. And I'm going to attempt to make we do a really good absinthe. So some people say.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, allegedly. I'm going to attempt to make a different type of base for absinthe that comes off of that 3-chamber that I think could be really, really cool.
Oh man, that sounds like
gosh, you got your hands full, man.
Yeah, I'm just going to play around, man. I'm really looking forward to playing around with this thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's fun to have a new toy, and it's great to see this because you got to have something that's interesting or fun that people are going to find new and exciting. And the good thing is that it's not like you're going to know next week. I mean, it's going to take years to figure out how long that this is going to be a worthwhile investment for you.
Yeah, I definitely, like I said earlier, I started sleeping a lot better at night when I realized people were going to buy the bourbon, right? And it didn't, it wasn't, horrible or something like that. Now I'm kind of getting that same feeling again. Like as we're talking about, I'm starting to get that feeling of
that anxiousness.
Here it comes again.
We did it ourselves.
Here I go again. Like what's this 3-chamber whiskey? This 3-chamber bourbon or whatever we're making going to turn out like. But I think the first product we're going to run off of it is actually going to be a rum, and we're going to do that. You guys, Turner Wathen, Jordan Morris, Roland Fork, great guys. Yeah. Jordan actually went with me down to Barbados. And we're going to make a rum off of it.
I wonder what those nights were like.
We had a good time in Barbados.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, too. So like like, when you're using the pot still or the 3-chamber, and it's like, all right, have you found any research or what barrels work best with it, and and to make sure you keep all that magic flavor you're trying to create?
Yeah, so Strickland, this was something I don't quote me on this one. I believe it's either 35 or 40 gallon barrels they exclusively used in Pennsylvania for it. So he partnered with the cooperage up there to where he's getting those like custom made 40 gallon barrels so he can make it exactly like the way that they were doing it in Pennsylvania, which I thought was really cool. And this still was predominantly used in Pennsylvania, Maryland, and in Indiana as well.
I wonder why 40 gallon.
I don't know. I don't know why, so he's going to experiment with that. We do 53s and 25 gallon barrels. Those are the only two styles of barrels that I use, but I always do at least 24-month air seasoned oak on all my bourbon. A lot of times I'll go 3-year air seasoned oak. With the 3-chamber, I'll probably try to stay up in that higher, like 3 to 4-year air seasoned oak as long as I can get it, because I think that's going to help over time to help polish out the massive amount of tails that we're going to have inside, the massive amount of oil that I think is going to make some really great bourbon in 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the 3-chamber. It's not 2-year-old, and it probably ain't going to be 4-year-old. But at 5, 6, 7, when you got enough time for all that magic to happen in the barrel, that esterification and oxidation to occur, that's when you can really get great whiskey. It would make a horrible moonshine. 3-chamber would make the worst damn moonshine you get.
At least you're honest.
Yeah, it'd be oil, oil heavy,
Yeah.
and it would make a terrible type of moonshine, but can make some of the best. It needs a barrel. It loves, it desires a barrel. So I really love that. I think it's going to be really cool to play around with. You guys have to come up there with me. We'll run it.
Oh yeah,
Let's do it. Let's do it. I need a
we'll let Kenny put things in it.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'll put whatever things are. Yeah,
whatever things.
Yeah, I'll just go to Kroger.
I say
go shopping.
things like I like to put. With a thumper, you can do all kinds of different stuff. You can add mash into it. You can add fresher mash into it. You can add soured mash into it. You can add heads and tails into it. You can add water into it, and all that stuff changes up the way the distillate flows through it and how it interacts with that thumper. You can leave it empty, and the water will fall out of solution as it comes through in the vapor form, and the alcohol will carry over, but the water will stay behind. So, all different stuff you can do.
So you all started out in the gift shop and found success, with all that tourism aspect, people coming in and out. How's it been different trying to go into the traditional model of retail and shelves and this and that?
Man, it's
you should have seen the way his eyes just went back, and it's just like, oh man, do we have some stories?
Yeah, you guys know the game, so it's tough, man. It's really tough. I'm really fortunate. We have a really good gift shop presence, and that's where that's old school, old term. That's where we cut our hay at. We pay our bills, pay our employees, earn our living through that gift shop. And for me and Dad, distribution has always been a second thought or a bonus to us. So I'm building that slowly, and I'm really just building it organically. I mean, it's me and Becca hitting the road, just like I saw you, Kenny. I mean, that's what people want to see. I can't hire somebody to go out and tell my family story like I can.
Right.
But it's a hard balancing point for me because I have to run that distillery while I'm on the
you need
road.
to be home.
I have to I've got a really good team, man. I'm very fortunate. The guys that work for me have been working for me for years. And my main distiller is a great guy. I grew up with him. And he is really meticulous. So I'm able to leave. And if I didn't have guys like that on my team, I wouldn't be able to go out and hit the road like I am. Becca's helping a lot. She's hitting the road more. I'm trying to stay home and send her out, so we're seeing how that's going. But
people always like a pretty lady instead of us anyway, right?
Who wants to look at me? No one else talks to me. No. So she just got back from an event out in Oklahoma where she was hanging out with Todd Leopold, actually. So she loved it. They were talking 3-chamber or just talking different stuff and whatnot. And she was telling him about what we were doing with our 3-chamber or what we were working on with our 3-chamber. So
that's very cool.
Yeah,
tell Rebecca I absolutely loved her blend there.
I will.
That was
she'll be
the Hen Barn's great, but I really like that one.
Thank you. Yeah, she was mortified when we put this one out because she's like, it's the first batch I've ever done, 7-barrel batch, and it was with a different mash bill. That's not a, like you said, it's not a mash bill for everybody.
Right.
But if you like it, people really tend to gravitate towards it. So
yeah, it's got a great flavor profile.
Our next one we're doing is going to be a 70 corn, 20 wheat, 10% malted barley. No enzyme. It's like a 25-barrel batch that she just put together. But we're going to bring it down to 92 proof. It's our first time we've ever lowered the proof down below 100 on any of our bourbons before.
Okay. Hitting the mass market, right? That's what you're going with.
We tried it at.
That's where I just tasted best.
Yeah, it was at 103, so we're not adding much water to it anyways.
Oh,
entered
wow,
105. Yeah. It was it moved to about 103 overall in the batch, and we tried it at 100. We tried it at 95. I loved it at 92. So we kind of settled on that proof, and we've got it actually open air vatting in the distillery right now before we start bottling it.
Nice. And one last thing I want to kind of bring up, because you had mentioned it and I'd seen it before. I mean, talk about your Green Fairy. Talk about this, because it's interesting. It's using wormwood. You're trying to like I said, getting into this world is different, and you don't really see people, especially in Kentucky, getting into this.
I'm just very thankful and so blessed that I've got a good team, good family behind me, and that we've been able to be successful. And that goes to that absinthe. We've won a lot of awards with our bourbons, and that's obviously what we set out to do. And I wanted to do that. I never dreamed that I would be talking absinthe and be winning awards and newspaper articles about an absinthe that I was making. First time I tried any, my buddy snuck it back over in a water bottle from Prague back in college.
Yeah.
I always liked the black jelly bean as a kid. So I liked it. I was like, all right, this is cool. I always knew that for a botanical spirit for the gift shop, I didn't want to do a gin. I've just personally never liked gins too much. So I wanted for a botanical based spirit to do an absinthe. In 2020, I had some extra time in the distillery and we were making hand sanitizer.
I wish you could have seen like his eye roll.
I was making hand sanitizer.
He's like, why do we do this?
Yeah, hand sanitizer in the distillery. And I had an opportunity to start making and playing around with some absinthe, and I did 16 different recipes, just a lot of old research, man. I found an old Swiss book, got it translated over, picked out some recipes, kind of started altering them, started bringing the wormwood in from Poland, and I sent it into San Fran, and I got a phone call. And I was pumped because normally you get a phone call, it's about bourbon. So I'm like, oh, hell yeah, we've won best single barrel, something like this. It's going to be great. And I answer the phone, and it's Amanda Blue, and she's like, Mr. Neely, how long have you been making absinthe for? And I said, about 3 months. Okay, well, we haven't had a double gold winner since like 2008. We've never had an American producer win it. It's always been European distilleries. Like, we're excited about this. So I got on a Instagram live with them and talked about it, and we're getting all this press and publicity, and I get another phone call from her. She's like, we got a problem. This French Distillers Guild, or some people have called in and said there's no way you guys have made that absinthe. You've bought it from Europe and have submitted it in. So they're demanding it be tested.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow. Okay. I didn't even know that. All right. Sure. I was like, that's fine. I was like, how are you going to test it? And she's like, we're going to send it off and have a mass spec done on it. I was like, perfect. To compare it against the sample they sent us. That's perfect. I'm the only guy in the world that makes absinthe with moonshine as the base. So it's got corn and cane sugar in it. Those two compounds will pop different under a mass spec than their brandy base will for the absinthe that they make over in Europe. So I was like, that's perfect. So I get it, she calls me back after we sent it all in, and kind of funny story. We had drank all of that absinthe.
No.
Research and development. We drank all of it but one bottle. I had mailed a bottle of it up to my father-in-law in North Dakota. So I called him and I'm like, I need you to overnight this bottle back. I got to overnight it to San Fran to get it tested because I wanted to make sure I sent in the same exact sample of what I had sent to San Fran. At the time I hadn't even replicated any of the absinthe yet. So it was cool. And then since then we've won the double gold 3 years in a row with it, 2 best in classes. They certified it platinum.
What'd those French say after that?
I don't think they're too thrilled, man. And then this really, I guess, adds salt to the wound. Good friend of mine, Adam Stumpy Spirits up in Columbia, Illinois. Great guy. He had bought a bunch of old column stills from Belgium off of a bank repossession. When he got them over, there was an absinthe still in the shipping container. He didn't even know it was in there. So he calls me up. He's like, I just won my first double gold. He's like, I was going to make gin on this thing, but like, it should be with somebody that knows how to make absinthe. Like, do you want it? Let me come over there and take a look at it. Drove up there, bought it on the spot, hauled it back down to Kentucky. Reworked it with Vendome. They had to do some work on it. I was worried because I'm like, I know this is loaded with lead solder. So these guys tinned the whole inside of this still. You all get down there, I'll show you. It's unbelievable the workmanship that went into this. They melted and tinned the whole inside of it to where the lead solder or anything won't touch it. Wow. Which is badass. But we make all of our absinthe on this old French absinthe still from the 1890s now. So that really, cool. Pisses the French off, I'm sure. I hope we can get over it because I really want to go travel. I really want to go to France and travel, but I don't know if I'm going to go anytime in the near future. I think I'll stay. I don't know.
We don't want your Kentucky absinthe.
Your Kentucky absinthe.
Croissants and absinthe.
Yeah, escargot and whatnot. I don't know. But
that's a cool story.
Over there. But that's the whole story behind it. So it was wild, but we got her validated and won the awards ever since, and really haven't looked back on the absinthe. And it's been doing good, man. I've been, once again, everybody working together in Kentucky. Jim Beam's carrying it at their bar on site. Willett's carrying it at their bar. New Riff's carrying it at their bar. It's been really cool. The distilleries, the Kentucky distilleries that are bringing our absinthe in through our distributor, and selling it and, making it into cocktails and using it at their bar. I thought that's really cool of everybody to do that.
No, you're about to have a fifth one with us.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that. It's really cool.
If we ever get a bar open.
Yeah, we're there.
Hopefully time this airs.
By the time this airs, everybody's been like, this is amazing. And I love your absinthe cocktails, right?
Yeah. Doing the absinthe drip. You have to bring Becca down. She'll show you, she's all about this absinthe drip thing we're doing now.
Like the spoon and the sugar cube.
Yeah, dude, she's got the spoon and she lights it on fire and then pours the water over, and she's got it now, the exact amount you put on it to make all the sugar dissolve. And yeah, it's pretty cool. But a lot of people come in. I would never guessed it, and they're like buying. I mean, we're carrying all the absinthe paraphernalia you could want. We got the spoons, we got cups, we got sugar cubes, we got the fountain. People buy it all the time to take back home with them to show their buddies, like, hey man, this stuff changes up, and it's cool.
Yeah,
it's been really cool. I never thought it, being on the bourbon trail and slinging an absinthe.
Well, I mean, my brother did buy me a bottle of absinthe in college one night, and me and my roommate drank it all in one night, thinking that we're gonna go chase this green fairy.
Yeah,
it didn't actually happen, right?
Well, everybody's always like, "Oh, you see anything when you drink it?" I'm like, "You drink enough of it, you'll see the damn floor." That's what
that's pretty much what you get out of it.
You see the toilet. And actually, green fairy. If you look on the front of our absinthe, there's a green fairy on it. It's my wife Rebecca with some green wings on there.
Is it really?
It really is. She's on the front of the bottle of the absinthe, so she gives me shit about it, but I'm gonna leave her on there.
I love it, man. Yeah. Well, Royce, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story. I mean, this is
sharing
incredible.
Your whiskey.
Yeah,
great job.
Whiskey. Yeah, man.
Yeah, guys, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so if people want to visit you out in, near the, it used to be like a pretty big racetrack over there, but, where can they come find you? Where can they come find your stuff? Give them the whole pitch.
Yeah, man, we're an easy drive up Interstate 71. You get off exit 55, and we're about a half mile off the interstate, so real easy to get to. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, all social media platforms as well at Neely Family Distillery and at Hidden Barn.
Yeah, so you can do it, especially if you're starting in Louisville, you want to go see everything that's happening in Northern Kentucky. You're right there.
Halfway point.
Yeah. It's a good stopping point.
We get a ton of business off of that, right? That exact thing. People are coming from north. They stop and hit some of the distilleries up there at the top of the Bourbon Trail, and they're heading to Louisville next. They hit us on the way, which is cool.
That's exactly what it is, man. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on. This is fun. Long overdue, but man, hell of a story. I love everything you're doing. So
I really
congratulations on everything
you,
so far. Yeah. And maybe we'll see each other at Opelika again at some point.
Yeah, we'll meet in Opelika.
There we go.
Hopefully somewhere better. No,
yeah, there we go. Maybe we'll get invited to Barbados.
Yeah, we'll go to Barbados.
Yeah. Barbados.
Yeah. R&D. I mean, we're going to run the column still.
We got to figure it out.
Chamber still. We need to go back down there.
Yeah,
100%.
It's part of business. I'm sorry, y'all. Well, again, make sure you follow everything that Royce is doing, and make sure you go check out his distillery. If you like what we're doing over here at Pursuit, and you love these stories, and you think that other people would love these stories, go share it with a friend, leave a review, leave a comment. If you want to help support it, though, you can do it for as little as $5 a month on patreon.com/bourbonpursuit. But with that, cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Toodles.